Hello, let's learn how to animate some things, and we might as well start off with animating cameras because that's what you're going to have to do for this chair project that's due 1 week from when I'm recording this. That'll probably be confusing to somebody who watches this 5 years from now, so let me just get on with it. We had a camera already in our file from earlier in class, so I don't need to make a camera. We are looking through the camera, and if you remember, this little white crosshairs registration mark means that we're looking through it. If I deselect it, I can do whatever I need to do, move around, get close, zoom in, make edits, and then I can snap back to my camera. And I mentioned in class that when you are looking through the camera and you make changes, rotations, zooms, whatever, it actually takes place in the camera. So what we're going to start off here with is a simple camera move with just looking through the camera itself. Now we're going to need the full timeline. I think it'll help you if we have the full timeline here. Well, I wonder if that'll just confuse things. We'll try to do it with this mini timeline right here. And if we need to, we'll grab the full dope sheet timeline. Dope sheet's what they call it. I'm not trying to be cool or anything. There it is. Okay, let's make sure we're at 0 and 90 frames is 3 seconds. That's probably enough. Make sure we're at 0. All right, so down here, this is the keyframe button, record active objects it's called. This is auto key. The behavior you're used to seeing in After Effects is called auto key. I generally keep that off in Cinema 4D. I like to make my moves, make my changes, and then purposefully click the keyframe button. That's just the way I think it works better, for me at least. Over here, these buttons, they're sort of like the XYZ buttons. If I leave them all highlighted, whenever I hit the keyframe button, then position keyframes, scale keyframes, rotation keyframes, and parameter keyframes will all be recorded in my timeline, which I don't want. I probably just want position and rotation for a camera because you can't really scale the camera. So I'm just going to leave position and rotation on. And at 0, I'm going to make a keyframe. If I click that, you can see this rectangle here. And let's just go forward in time 1 second, 30 frames. And let's do, I don't know, let's rotate it around to the front and add a little bit of zoom. What do you think? And then click keyframe again. Let's rewind, let's play. Okay, that's pretty good. That was simple, right? So these two rectangles we see here represent the keyframes for our camera. That was a really simple camera move. So what I like to do when I need multiple takes of multiple cameras within a scene, and I'm going to edit them together, which is what you're going to do, is make multiple cameras. So let's get out of this camera, and this is kind of a cool angle, right? Let's do like a side fly through though. Maybe let's do something like this. And let's make a camera. Remember, you kind of want to basically block your camera out where you want it to be and then click new camera, and it's going to position that camera facing the direction you're facing right now. Let's look through it. We'll call this, I don't know, side camera. And let me get rid of any annoying little rotations that I don't need, like on the pitch value. I'm going to type in 0. And under this, what I end up doing when I come over here is I just end up rounding it to the nearest number. This is going to be closest to -90, to the nearest right angle, I should say. All right, that looks good. And I'm going to zoom way out. All right. There are a couple ways to keyframe camera movement. I just showed you one where if you're looking through the camera, you can keyframe position and rotation using the Record Active Objects button. I'm going to show you another way to do it, not using the 1, 2, 3 hotkeys, or zooming in other words. Here, let me rewind to, let's see. Yeah, let's rewind to 0. And basically what I'm going to be doing here is pushing forward on these x-axis. I can see the little red arrow here in the background. I happen to know that if I travel along the x-axis, that's going to basically be a camera dolly. See how when I scrub the x value, that's a little bit... Okay, what we're going to need to do is move our y value. Oops. All right. I'm going to undo that. I just did. And let's zoom back out. Okay, what I want to show you over here with these coordinates is that you can also animate using these radio buttons right here. If you don't want to, like, I know that I'm not going to need rotation on this one, and I could do it down here by just deselecting rotation and hitting the record active objects key. But what I like to do sometimes to be a little bit more accurate and to lay down fewer keyframes, because when I hit this, it's going to lay down an X, Y, and Z keyframe. Let us, at 0 on our timeline, simply click at this X position and then go, let's have this one be a long, let's have it be 80 frames long. And we're going to move. Uh-oh, I think we're going to hit it again. Okay, I'm going to have to move. We're inside the chair. That's kind of fun. Okay, now we're out on the other side. And at 80 frames, I'm going to click this red button, which, as you see, added a keyframe there. Let's rewind, play. Okay, so all we need to do now is modify our Y. I mean, we don't need to keyframe the Y. We just need to move it because we need it to stay consistent. I'm going to go down a couple centimeters. Move it up a couple centimeters, I should say. Let's rewind and play again. Okay, that worked great. Over 80 frames, we now have that camera angle. And let's see, what's another one you might be interested in? How about a target camera? Now, target cameras are basically just a way to get your camera to constantly stare at something. They're easy to make. Let's get out of side camera. And let's do some cool vertical bird's eye view. Because let's see, what does our main camera look like? Let's look through main camera and play that real quick. All right, what are we going to do? Let's get out of that. Let's start here, shall we? Let's just make a dramatic swoop down in front of the camera. And that's pretty good, pretty well centered, at least eyeball centered. And let us go up here, click and hold on the camera icon and select camera, target camera. And guess what? We're going to call this one target camera. Now the target that it always looks at is basically just a null. You could make a target camera on your own because all it is a regular camera with a target tag on it that says, hey, always look at this target. And it doesn't have to be called camera target 1. It could say, oops, it could be called anything. Look at me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care what it's called. It just needs a target object. Now, watch what happens when I try to look away from this camera. I cannot, I'm just rotating right now. This is what happens when let's see. Oh, you know what? It's not working because I'm not looking through it. I was wondering, I was panicking because it wasn't working. Okay, we are now looking through it. And if I rotate, it is going to always stay in the middle. And I'm actually pushing position right now. Here, let me show you over here. I'm actually trying to move around, but I can't because my camera always has to stare at the target. It doesn't have a choice. Now the target is down here on the floor, actually. Where's my mouse? I don't know where my mouse is. That's funny. My mouse appears to have disappeared. There it is up there. That was weird. Okay, target camera. Oh, no, the target itself I'm actually going to lift up. See, as I move the target, the camera always has to keep it dead in its sights. Let's move it up to the leather of the seat, just like that, and that'll center it in the screen. Okay, we're still looking through our target camera. Let's, ooh, wow. Gotta be careful not to rotate it too many times, accidentally. See, my camera's rotating around the target and it's very sensitive. I'm gonna go over here and type in 90 and -90. You know what? That's not going to do anything because it's a target camera. Okay. How about this? How about if I do 0? Nope, not helpful. Well, you know what? Let's just start off from here because it's a nice straight angle. And let's, you know what? This one we're going to animate with this from within the viewport, just so we can have a little bit more control here. So let's rewind to 0. Make sure we're selected, we're looking through it, and let's go ahead and lay down a position keyframe. I don't know that we need, okay, let's have rotation selected just in case we need it. I'm going to re-keyframe just to make sure I get the rotational keyframes. And let's move, oh my goodness. I'm going to hit, let's see, I think I need Command-Shift-Z, yeah, because that is a viewport thing. All right, I'm going to try, oh my goodness. All right, so let's try to get control here. There we go. Easy, easy. Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're okay now. Oh, you know what? I forgot to move on the timeline. Command-Shift-Z. Let's move. Let's do a 60 frame move. And steady. There we go. Yeah, that's better. I selected outside of it and that worked a little bit better, didn't it? All right, keyframe. And then let's move another 30 frames down the timeline and let's just zoom into it. We're really exploring the silhouette of this chair, aren't we? Click keyframe again. So what does that look like? It seems to automatically glitch. Is that because our That's interesting. Okay, this might be a time to pull up the full timeline. Let's go to Window, Timeline Dope Sheet, and there it is. I think I'm going to dock this by grabbing the hamburger and put it in here. It's going to be a tab over the top of my materials library. Let's take a look at target camera rotation. Make sure I don't have any. Okay, why is it doing that? What about position? Will position reveal anything to us? No, I don't have any extra keyframes or anything. By the way, you can navigate around, you can zoom, pan, and even scale with the same 1, 2, 3 hotkeys, or these in other words, as you do in the viewport window. So that's cool. That comes in handy a lot. So interesting. So what I'm going to do here for the sake of this tutorial is set my work area to start at 1 and go from 1 to 90. I could take care of this in post. I could take care of it in After Effects and just chop off that frame, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to try to resolve this right now. Yeah, interesting. Okay, I'm going to set what we will need to do. This gray bar right here is basically our work area, our preview range, and I can just move that forward 1 frame. Let's go back to, well, I guess we're all here. Now, when I render this, it's only going to render from frames 1 to 90. I want to show you a really, really quick way to get previews, real-time previews of your animations. This probably won't take too long to render just in the standard renderer. Let me see just how long 1 frame takes. I'm going to hit Command R. Okay, that was pretty quick. So let's see, let's go in here to render settings. You remember the tokens we did? I don't have to change anything here. I do want to change this to MP4. I don't need sound. Under output, we're at 1920, 1080. Current frame, I need to change to preview range. And now it's going to render from frames 1 through 90. Let's just see how fast this goes when I click Render to Picture Viewer. Okay, that's a little bit longer than I would like for what we're doing right now. So I'm going to stop it. I'm going to close this window. Do you want to stop it? Yes, I do. I'm going to show you a really, really quick way to render rough motion tests. Under your render settings, instead of standard render, let's go to Viewport Renderer. Viewport Render is basically what we're seeing right here, and it will go lightning fast. Let me show you. There we go. That's doing like 5 frames a second. Okay, cool. Let's go. Looks like it's this one. Beautiful. So that's full speed and everything. Obviously you see all the lines and you don't see the full render quality, but you get a fantastic motion preview. And it is now, let's see. The mode that you need, the render that you need to use is now called Viewport Render, which is way more intuitive. It used to be called Hardware Renderer, and there was a software, OpenGL Renderer. It was very confusing. Viewport Renderer is much easier to remember. You might want to remember to set it back to standard though when you want to see how your materials and shadows and lights are doing. But that's pretty much it for basic camera usage. I hope that helped. We can go over more on Monday if you want to do something a little more complex. But that is basic animation with cameras. I hope you can hear me over my fan. It's just going crazy right now. All right, we'll see you in class. Thanks. Bye.